Hi everyone, my name is Meshak Masibu and welcome to episode 5 of the Data Protectors podcast. For those who did not tune into the first 4 episodes of the podcast, the goal of this podcast series is to offer guidance to small and medium-sized enterprises and organizations on how to comply with the Data Protection Act 2019. Today, we're coming to you with a thrilling and exciting episode that we've been developing to help our audience learn how to engage and build good relationships with data protection authorities. The Data Protection Act 2019 established the Office of the Data Protection Commissioner, which is tasked with, among others, implementing and enforcing the Data Protection Act. Consequently, in November 2020, Ms. Immaculate Kasait was appointed as the first Data Protection Commissioner. The office has the mandate to, among others, enforce the Data Protection Act, oversee operations relating to the processing of data, to receive and investigate complaints relating to infringement of the right to privacy. And in the course of the last 2 years, the office has focused on setting up shop and putting in place measures to enable it to discharge its responsibilities. The office has managed to overcome the initial hurdles of low personnel count and resources to discharge its mandate, issuing 3 landmark fines of 15 million shillings each in the span of the past 5 months. However, issuing fines is not all that the ODPC is about. It might also not sound like a good thing, but it's actually very important to start the real enforcement of the law and ensure that the office is serious. However, the office is more than just a body issuing fines, and it's keen on building good relationships with its stakeholders while promoting the right to privacy. In this episode, we will discuss how small enterprises and organizations can engage and build a good relationship with the Office of the Data Protection Commissioner and other regulatory authorities. But before we get into that episode, let's have a look at the partners behind this podcast. Have you ever heard of the African Union, European Union Digital for Development, D4D Hub in a nutshell? In a nutshell, it's a project that aims to increase cooperation in the digital field between Africa and Europe, and is implemented by 8 partner organizations, including the GIZ, which is a German development agency, and Kictanet. Did you know that our Data Protection Act in Kenya was inspired by the European one, which is called the GDPR? Therefore, data protection is an exciting and promising field for Africa and Europe to collaborate on, which is how this podcast came to life. We'll share more information about the EU D4D Hub project and the partners as we go along, but let's start hearing from our guests. For this episode, I'm excited to introduce our guest moderator, Catherine Muya, and our 2 speakers, Rose Mosero and Tamar Kaldani. They'll serve as our guides for this episode.
Welcome to this episode. My name is Catherine Muya, and I will be your moderator today. I work as a data policy advisor at GIZ, the German Development Agency. Let's start with you, Rose. Please tell us who you are and what you do.
Thank you for having me on the podcast. My name is Rose Mosero. I'm a Deputy Data Commissioner at the Office of the Data Protection Commissioner in Kenya, where I head the Compliance Directorate. I've served in that position for just under a year. Previous to that, I was a legal advisor to the Data Commissioner, seconded from the Office of the Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of ICT, where I assisted to set up the structures of the office, provide technical support, as well as assist in drafting some of the documents that you've probably seen on the website of the ODPC. I also served as a legal policy and regulatory advisor to the Cabinet Secretary and assisted in my advisory capacity to draft the Data Protection Act, the Digital Economy Blueprint, and the National ICT Policy Guidelines for 2020. That's just a little bit about me.
A little and a lot. Thanks for being here, Ruth. Tamar, we can come to you.
Many thanks for this opportunity. I'm really delighted to be part of this discussion. I'm Tamar Kaldani, the team leader of the GIZ Commission project that supports and works with the Office of Data Protection Commissioner of Kenya. In addition, as a data protection expert and a former Data Protection Commissioner of Georgia, on behalf of European Union and Council of Europe projects, I also contribute to the development of national legal frameworks in different parts of the world and support newly established data protection authorities in operationalization and capacity building. Thank you.
Thank you. I think we have extremely great insights. And for this, I'll start with you, is just asking you, you've done a lot in terms of creating the legislation and the office of the ODPC. Would you just tell us a bit more about what is this office that you've created and what have been your accomplishments?
Absolutely. So I guess just to let you know, a little bit of the office requires us to kind of look at other policy documents that really determined why the office should be established. Some of you would know that there is a policy or strategy document called the Kenya Vision 2030. And this looks at how to catapult Kenya into a middle income economy. One of the things that it talks about is ICT as a key enabler to ensuring that Kenya can catapult itself to middle income economy. Obviously, with ICT being an enabler, there are certain things that come into play as well. There's a lot of data that is required for technology advancements, policy decisions, and things like this. What we saw when we did an analysis before the Data Protection Act actually came into place is that for there to be a robust digital economy for Kenya specifically, there needs to be a data protection regulator to sort of balance between the rights to privacy, which is a constitutional right, but also the to enable businesses to actually effectively use data to be able to grow and things like this. And this could be small businesses, large businesses, governments as well, to provide better service to the citizens and the like. So in terms of what the office does, effectively just if I was to describe it very briefly, is we do that. We do balance the right to privacy and enable businesses also to operate in a space where they're effectively and lawfully and ethically using personal data that relates to individuals. There are a number of things that we've accomplished over the last 2.5 years that we've been in existence. For starters, we started from a space where there were only two technical staff in the office, myself and the data commissioner, and in total, I think we had 11 staff, and that includes drivers and admin staff as well. We've now grown. We've just finished the last round of recruitment, so we'll have 92 staff by the end of this financial year, ending on June 30. We have regulations. We've got 3 regulations that have assisted in implementing the Data Protection Act and give a framework to businesses that are actually engaging in achieving compliance with the Data Protection Act. We've also started to set up offices regionally, which is a really great accomplishment, specifically because we want to be at the grassroots as well. So these are just some of the accomplishments. I could go on about what we've done in the last 2.5 years.
Yeah, and I've seen your strategy, and I think you're well on the way to getting there. But just to come back to something you said about the digital economy and about how you are catapulting, you want us to grow into this direction, but small, medium-sized enterprises are what will drive us there. So I'm keen to know how these businesses are affected or impacted by the creation of this office, or if any. So would you just tell us a bit about how what they should know about the ODPC and how it affects them?
Absolutely. So first, to start with the fact that ODPC, or the Office of the Data Protection Commissioner, is a regulatory office. We regulate pretty much everyone that handles personal data that relates to people who live or are located in Kenya. This is, again, as I said, government, small businesses, large businesses alike, individuals as well. One of the things that I have mentioned is that the ODPC, as a regulator, is there to balance the rights to privacy, which is a constitutional right, and the business's ability to grow and utilize data in to expand their businesses, as well as just carry out their regular functions. The fact that the right to privacy is a constitutional right means that it is protected, and everyone must adhere to it, whether it's a big business or not. And many small businesses collect personal data in their day-to-day activities, which means that they need to be conscious of how they're utilizing that information, who has access to it, how it can be manipulated, if it's lost, what they can do, and things like this. And so in a large way, data protection is actually integral to businesses managing relations with their customers, day-to-day activities of just collecting information. And so it needs to be in their mind. How does the ODPC come in? Well, the ODPC, through its mandate, obviously provides a framework to regulate the processing of personal data, but one of the things that we also do is we give advisories and connect with small businesses to ensure that they actually know what their obligations are with respect to data protection, the benefits of compliance with data protection, because obviously some of them don't have the tools or the cost to actually, or the funds to actually go out to, lawyers or firms to assist them in the compliance journey. We have taken an initiative to enable them to find this compliance routes without necessarily having to spend too much.
And that's really amazing. I think that you're doing amazing things, including issuing the advisories. But I feel like there have been like small businesses or CSOs or other people who have had challenge engaging with government. And coming from a sector, a civil society sector previously, just knowing how difficult it is for us to comply, it would be nice if we're able to receive some guidance from the ODPC. So I'm wondering if we have any bad experiences or any like challenges. How do you mitigate this impression to give people the ability to know that you're an open office that's willing to support diverse entities?
Absolutely. That's a stigma that certainly we've been struggling with as an office. There's always this misconception that government offices and regulatory offices are unapproachable. We've tried to deliberately ensure that we're preaching the words that, for us to actually be a competent authority, we need to understand the needs of the people. We need to understand the people that we regulate. And so we've put in a number of measures in place. Firstly, one of the things that we're doing again is to ensure that we've got regional offices where people can just come into if they need advisories. We have call centers, so someone can call into the office and get assistance. We have an open door policy, so you can walk in at any time if you require assistance. From a data protection perspective, you can reach us on email. We also have methods that you can reach us digitally through our website and send any requests, any concerns that you have with us or concerns with respect to data protection. And we really just maintain a really open office so that we can actually engage with the people that we regulate as well as the data subjects.
I think these are nice options. I'm sorry not to hammer you, just to ask if I come into maybe let's say the regional office of the ODPC and am dissatisfied with the service that I get there as a data controller or as an SME that's trying to register, for example, are there any channels I could use to give feedback to the ODPC, and how would you deal with my feedback?
Absolutely. So we do have on our website, we do have if you have any concerns page, which specifically is if you have any concerns with our service, perhaps you weren't, responded to within the timeframes that we have in our service charter, or you've received really bad service, or you're just not happy with us generally. So you can report there, and usually what happens is it's filtered through to the Deputy Data Commissioners and the Data Commissioner herself. And so we have clear visibility of how everything operates. But we've intentionally made an effort to ensure that we curtail that. We're a new office, and so in terms of structures, in terms of the culture that we're trying to build as well, just really conscious about the opinions that the public has about government agencies and trying to really get to a point where we're taking that away from individuals by being open about our interactions with businesses as well as individuals that we serve.
And I think maybe even just coming back to everything that you've said, and especially focusing on MSMEs as the people who are really, really driving that economy. As a community of SMEs, do you think, let's say today, if I wanted to be compliant, do you know of any associations or any entities or I guess organizations where I, as a data controller or processor or SME that wants to be compliant, can just join and sort of, manage this dialogue with ODPC?
Um, so one of the things that I'll keep emphasizing and impress upon, even if you are an SME, and that's majority of the businesses that operate in the Kenyan business ecosystem, You can always come to the office. You don't necessarily need to be a part of an association to interact with the office. We will give you the time that you require. However, we have seen a number of associations. This is mostly for practitioners to assist. So we've seen, I think, about 3 associations that have come into place. Kenya Privacy, I think KPPA, for example. There's a Data Governance Association as well. And these all come to us with respect to issues that perhaps businesses or them as practitioners have experienced with respect to data protection. But we do keep an open door policy, so there is no need for you to actually associate or have an association to approach us. So whilst businesses and SMEs are coming to a fore of, bringing themselves together for data protection purposes, you can still approach us.
Thank you. Tamar, I want to come to you. I mean, because you have a lot of experience, Tamar, you have a lot of experience running are similar in a similar capacity as Rose. And just to get to hear what was your experience as the ODPC and your experience basically with this issue, and if you what has been your experience and how have you seen this being handled?
Thank you very much. Today, it's practically impossible to run any sort of business without processing personal data. And startups, small and medium-sized businesses, as well as civil society organizations as data controllers and processors are required to comply with the data protection legislation. Obviously, compared to big businesses, smaller organizations have limited resources and capabilities. They may not have access to external consultants, legal resources, or sophisticated data security tools. And that is why data protection authorities, as Rose mentioned, have these open door policies. They actively engage with data controllers or business associations. And they also frequently develop an offer to different sectors, public or private, tailored guidance, practical tips, and compliance tools. And particularly, we can observe that many authorities are developing special tools targeted to small and medium-sized businesses as well as civil society organizations. But beyond the compliance requirements, the authorities also raise an understanding of how making privacy a priority and good data protection practices can pay dividends, fuel growth and competitive advantage, and boost trust among citizens. At some point, we have to understand that the new and strong rules on data protection create a level playing field for new businesses, especially. And with a privacy by design approach or privacy friendly products and services, they can really gain a huge competitive advantage. And I believe that as the ODPC, other authorities in different parts of the world are also highlighting the positive aspects of compliance.
Thank you. And Tamar, I want to ask you, like during your time as a regulator, did you face any public opinion, a negative public opinion or negative perceptions, and how did you deal with them that we can learn or borrow from?
Obviously, I mean, doing work, you cannot keep everybody satisfied, right? But then accountability, transparency, and the responsiveness is very important. It's very important for the data protection authority to understand concerns and engage and provide some explanations. Fortunately, we have no negative, let's say, reactions, especially from the public, but there were certain instances where, for example, the data controllers that have been fined or we use administrative sanctions against them were not happy, but there are, of course, legal remedies, right? They can go to the court and challenge the decision of the data protection authority. I have also to mention that we had very high percentage of court decisions in favor of our let's say, decisions and enforcement and penalty notices, which also proved somehow the quality of the work that we have delivered. But obviously, like data protection authority, decision of data protection authority is not the last instance decision, and there are legal remedies. But at the same time, many authorities are very open to criticism, and I think it could be used also to advance processes and improve some systems and offer more sophisticated and user-friendly also solutions to data controllers and processors.
And I think that's really insightful. But just, I think the perception of fines, I think, might scare some people away and really bring the issue of compliance to question. So just to get back to the focus that Rose brought up about SMEs. I think my concern would be, from your experience, how best did you support SMEs in their compliance journey, even regardless of this fine perception, and as much as it brings people, or it brings to attention, issues of data protection. But how do you support? Do you have some examples of how to concretely support SMEs into compliance?
Yes, I'll be happy to share a few examples from my own practice as well as from experiences of other, including European authorities. But let me start by saying that data protection authorities are very well aware that helping small and medium-sized organizations to comply is the most effective way of reducing data breaches and protecting individuals. Authorities are also well acknowledging the role that the small and medium-sized businesses play in economic and or societal development, digitalization, or developing privacy-friendly innovations. And to support these privacy-friendly innovations, many authorities, especially in Europe, they offer easy to understand and implement guides for small businesses, checklists, different compliance fact sheets, self-assessment tools, or even samples of privacy policies and notices that any small organization can use as a point of reference and advance further. The approach taken in SME-specific guidance is usually holistic in terms of issues covered, and even often presented in the same order as small or medium-sized business might logically need to commence addressing data protection within their organization. Some authorities also have dedicated hotlines, help desks, and interactive web pages. Apart from their own web pages, they also use traditional media channels such as radio, TV, and print media, as well as social media to spread the knowledge and
Thank
reach.
you. And Tamar, maybe from your wealth of experience, some final remarks from you and also some guidance on how to improve this compliance journey for us.
I think that you have very forward-looking and effective data protection authority, ODPC, which knows how to accomplish its mission to protect Kenyans through compliance, enforcement, public awareness, and also institutional capacity development. It's a real pleasure to work with them and see how office is developing. And I believe Kenya will create a lot of examples that could be shared in different parts of the world, including very innovative, let's say, approach, how to ensure how to engage and promote compliance among small and medium-sized businesses and civil society organizations. I already had a chance to observe those interactions, and I really believe that the further progress will be much visible. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. We have come to the end of our episode. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you, Rose, for showing us that the Commissioner cares, the office cares, the office is working, and it's coming to an office near you, or a location near you very soon. Thank you, Tamar, for sharing your best practices for everyone to get to just see from your wealth of experience what are the best practices in terms of regulation and all that. So the Data Protectors podcast is produced in collaboration between GIZ Kenya and Kictanet as part of the AU-EU D4D Hub project. Follow the AU-EU D4D Hub project on social media. You can find us on our Twitter handle at D4DHub_AU-EU. You can also contact us there for questions or comments. And if you're listening to us on Anchor, you can leave a voice message. Don't forget that all the episodes of this series are available on the D4D Access website as well as the Kictanet YouTube page. The D4D Access is an online platform powered by the AU-EU D4D Hub, which aims to promote exchanges of knowledge and expertise between African and European digital stakeholders. Feel free to visit the website at www.d4daccess.eu. Thank you so much, again, Catherine, for the good moderation, and thank you for listening, and see you next time.